Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
मेरा ये थी आप लोगों के लिए मेरा आप वो प्रति Okay, so we'll start with Thermae. Write down Thermae. Thermae. Okay, so write down Thermae are palatial public baths. Thermae are palatial public baths of Imperial Rome.
Public path.
Public baths
Okay.
of Imperial Rome. These clearly show the manner and custom of pleasure-loving Rome. This clearly shows the
Ma'am, your
manner
voice is not
and
clear.
what?
Your voice is not clear.
Okay. Just- Is it better now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. These clearly show the manners and customs of pleasure-loving Romans. Sorry, pleasure-loving Romans. Next point: the Thermae built over the Thermae were built over a high platform enclosing with massive walls, enclosed with massive walls, and equipped with heaters and service rooms. And equipped with heaters and service room. The Thermae consisted of central hall. The Thermae consisted of central hall with main apartments on its cross axis, such as a warm room, a hot room, each with hot water bath, and a room for unheated swimming bath, and a room for unheated swimming bath. The other rooms, which were symmetrically arranged, the other rooms which were symmetrically arranged were the dressing rooms, rooms for massage, where shampoo oils were placed. There was a palestra for physical exercise. There was a palestra for physical exercise for athletes. Next point. At one end, a large open space was left. At one end, a large open space was left to be used as a stadium. To be used as a stadium, around which seats on raised platforms, around which seats on raised platforms were provided for spectators. Were provided for spectators. Next point. Rooms in outer ring. Rooms in outer ring were meant were meant for philosophers, statesmen, and poets. Thermae were not only baths. Thermae were not only baths, but also served as club, but also served as club, a meeting place for socialites, and a meeting place for socialites. Next point. The Thermae were exclusively used by the royal people, but in later time they were thrown open to common people to gain popularity. But in later times they were thrown open to the common people to gain popularity. So there is an example of Thermae. Thermae of Caracalla, Rome. Caracalla is Caracalla. So write down the first point. The Thermae was square in plan. The Thermae was square in plan, measuring 350 meter each way. measuring 350 meters each way, and was built on a platform and was built on a platform of 6 meters high. The main building blocks was the main building block was 115 meters wide and 228 meters long. The main building block was 115 meters wide and 228 meters long. Next point. The entrance was on northeast side. The entrance was on northeast side with four large size doorways with four large sized doorways leading to park-like enclosure leading to park-like enclosure which were used for wrestling and other games. Which were used for wrestling and other games. Next point. The huge central hall was the main feature. The huge central hall was the main feature around which around which another room around which other rooms were symmetrically arranged. The central hall was 24 meters wide and 56 meters long. The central hall was 24 meters wide and 56 meters long, which was covered with hemispherical intersecting concrete vault in three compartments. 33 meters high, resting on 8 massive masonry piers. Resting on 8 massive masonry piers, fronted with granite column, 12 meters high and 16 meters in dia. 12 meters high and 16 meters in dia. On one side of central hall was frigidarium containing unheated swimming bath, containing unheated swimming bath 56 meter by 22 meter. 56 meter by 22 meter. Mostly open to the sky. Mostly open to the sky, which formed a welcome relief which formed a welcome relief during hot months. During hot months. On its opposite side was on its opposite side was tepidarium. I'm providing all these spellings, all these words in your chat box. Do check that. Was tepidarium, or a warm room through which was calidarium. Through which was calidarium, or hot room. Each one had a hemispherical dome. Each one had a hemispherical dome, and water in these rooms was heated by means of wall fuels. By means of wall fuels. Next point, a large open space was left. A large open space was left at one end of the building. At one end of the building, part of which was used as stadium. Part of which was used as stadium. Nearby large side reservoir. Nearby a large size reservoir in 2 stories were built. In 2 stories were built and fed by Martian fed by Martian aqueduct to supply, which was fed by Martian aqueduct to supply the water required for bath, fountain, and other purposes. Next point, the exterior of Thermae. The exterior of Thermae were plain and stucco. The exterior of Thermae were plain and stucco, but the interior were lavishly decorated. But the interior were lavishly decorated. Bright color mosaics were used. Bright colored mosaic were used. for pavement, marine mosaic for bath, and room floors, marine mosaic for bath and room floors, colored marble stucco for wall, colored marble stucco for wall, and glass mosaics for walls, and glass mosaics for walls. Next point. A continuous supply of running water, a continuous supply of running water emerging from sculptured lion's mouth, emerging from sculptured lion's mouth and falling into colored marble basin and falling into colored marble basin produce delightful coolness, produce delightful coolness during the hot months. Next point. The Thermae accommodated about 16,000 bathers at a time. 16,000 bathers at a time. There were janitors to guard the door. There were janitors to guard the door, staff attendants, barbers, nail cutters, anointers, barbers, nail cutters, anointers, and innumerable slaves to make the bathing a luxurious relaxation. Write down the next topic, amphitheatre. Okay, so write down the next point, amphitheatre. The amphitheatre unknown to Greeks, the amphitheatre unknown to Greeks were used for training warriors, for training warriors, and also to hold contests, and also to hold contests between men and animal, between men and animal, to serve the popular amusement, to serve the popular amusement. Amphitheatre were planned, next point, amphitheatre were planned on elliptical shape with rising tiers of seat. Amphitheatres were planned on elliptical shape with rising tiers of seat. The Spanish arenas of today are designed The Spanish arenas of today are designed on the line of amphitheatre. Um, the example for the amphitheatre is Colosseum at Rome. It has a elliptical plan. It has a elliptical plan measuring 190 meter by 155 meter, measuring about 190 meter by 155 meter. The external facade, the external facade about 48 meter high, the external facade about 48 meter high was divided into divided into four stories. Each one had each one had 80 external arch openings. The entrance was from the ground floor. The entrance was from the ground floor to various tiers of seat. To various tiers of seat. The main arena was oval shaped, measuring 87 meter by 55 meter. The main arena was oval shaped, measuring 87 meter by 55 meter. Enclosed by walls, enclosed by walls 4.5 meter high. Behind it was podium Behind it was podium with imperial throne for emperor, with imperial throne for emperor and seats for generals, vassal virgins, senators, and other officials of state. Beyond the podium, an auditorium was constructed. Beyond the podium, an auditorium was constructed. On rising platform with seats in four divisions. With rising platform, on a rising platform with seats in four divisions for about 50,000 spectators. For about 50,000 spectators, all of which were reached by stairs, all of which were reached by stairs from the surrounding corridors placed at regular intervals between radiating vaults. From the surrounding corridors placed at regular intervals between the radiating vaults. Dens for wild beasts from one end, dens for dens for wild beasts from one end, and for gladiators from the opposite end were provided in its lower tier. And for gladiator from the opposite end were provided in its lower tier at the level of the arena. The gladiatorial the gladiatorial combats to death between criminals, wild beasts such as lions, panthers, and bulls were favorite spectacles. The gladiatorial combat to death between criminals, wild beasts such as lions, panthers, and bulls were favorite spectacles. Next point, lava was used for firm foundation. Lava was used for firm foundation, tufa and bricks for walls, tufa and bricks for walls, pumic stone for huge walls, pumic stone for huge walls in order to reduce their weight, and marble was used for columns and seats. And marbles was used for columns and seats. They also used the order skillfully. in the four stories. The robust Doric order in the first story, which was 12.4 meter high, then slender and lighter Ionic in second story, then slender and lighter Ionic in second story, 11.8 meter high, and ornate Corinthian order in third story, and ornate Corinthian order in third story, 12 meter high, while Corinthian plasters in the topmost story, 11.8 meter high, while Corinthian plasters in the topmost story, 11.8 meter high. The column space at 6.8 meter, the column space at 6.8 meter, center to center, was superimposed, that is, there were columns above columns. There were columns above columns, entablature above entablature, and arches above arches, which produced with grand effect which produced with its grand effect awe and admiration. The structure was thick and weighty, so it was honeycombed at regular intervals by empty shafts. And to lighten its bulk, it was subdivided by a web of infixed brick arches. By a web of infixed brick arches. The radiating concrete walls were hidden. The radiating concrete walls were hidden, support and form the foundation of four stories. Thus the entire edifice based on unique set developed technique of great strength and was difficult to destroy. Write down the next topic, circuses. Circuses were used for horse and chariot racing. The circus was used for horse and chariot racing and were derived from hippodrome of Greeks and were derived from hippodrome of the Greeks. Chariot racing was very popular. Four-horse chariot was common, but at times 6, 8 or 10 horses were also used. But at times 6, 8 or even 10 horses were used. So there is an example, the Circus Maximus. It was built in 605 BC. It was built in 605 BC by King Tarquin by King Tarquin and rebuilt and enlarged by Julius Caesar. It measures 610 meter long. It measures 610 meter long and 198 meter wide and accommodate about 250,000 spectators and accommodate around about 250,000 spectators. It was just below the windows of the palace on the Palatine Hill. On the Palatine Hill. The race ground was divided into two tracks. The race ground was divided into two tracks by spina in the center, which was decorated with obelisks brought from Heliopolis by Augustus. Which was brought from Heliopolis by Augustus. The outer area was surrounded by three tiers of seats. The outer area was surrounded by three tiers of seats supported on concrete walls. At one end of the arena, 12 stalls for horses and chariots were provided. 12 stalls for horses and chariots were provided. The external facade was divided. The external facade was divided into three stories of marble arcade. In the event of chariot racing, they used to race. They used to race 12 times round the stadium. 12 times round the stadium, a distance of 14 kilometers. At a time, around 20 to 50 competitors At a time, 20 to 50 competitors were used to participate. These chariot races last all the days. Usually, four events were held in the morning and four in the evening. Usually, four events were held during the morning and four in the evening. Between each chariot race, there were intervals. Between each chariot race, there were intervals during which period acrobats, musicians and dancers during which during which period acrobats, musicians and dancers used to entertain the spectators. Used to entertain the spectators. Okay, so write down the next topic. Okay, we'll start with this next topic, arches, in the next class. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you, ma'am.